Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, where I allow the Spirit of the all-living God to dwell within me, to share with me what it hears the Father say, what it sees the Father do, and inform me that I can give that same message to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a couple of things I want to share with you today, but I want to start off with this. I consider it probably the most important for today. Many of you across the country are going into court today, and you are going through that process. If you would ask me for some legal counsel, this is what I would say to you. I would say, do not plead innocent or guilty to anything. Do not plead. The court system has given up its moral authority to judge you. The precedence has been set by the highest office of the land, the President of the United States, confirmed by the Attorney General. That's the precedent. They had you thinking that no man was above the law. And now you see that there is a man above the law. And that man is going around telling everybody that he has been vindicated. So, as long as the President of the United States is above the law, as long as the nation's Attorney General confirms that he is above the law, they do not have the moral authority to judge any human being in this country. Let me say it again. As long as the President has been held above the law and confirmed by the Attorney General, they have given up the moral authority to judge anybody in this country. And that precedent has been set. Anything that the Congress is doing, let them do it. But until they rectify this situation, you do not have to bend yourself or bow yourself to a court system that is proven to be illegitimate. Thank you. I want to just share that. But I had a couple of other notes I wanted to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. On the one hand, I was thinking about history. If I was a history instructor and I determined that a lot of people were left out of history, a lot of false information was in history, say for instance Christopher Columbus discovered America, and you know that people were already here, or at least that's what has been confirmed. If you knew that other people, say like blacks who came to this country under a form of oppression and it was not mentioned in the history books, I wouldn't teach that history. That sounds like indoctrination, propagandized indoctrination to me, and it is illegitimate. So when I think about that, I think you should know this as well. I think about, they say in 1969 they got movies. I forgot what they call that right now, but they're talking about the 69. That was one thing that was great in 1969. I graduated from high school 50 years ago. We got a class reunion coming up in about 2 months, and I hope I can make it. So, they were talking about the women. Back in those days, they didn't want to give the women the recognition that they deserved. It was all white men. I don't know if they had a black man anywhere. If they did, he was cleaning up the toilet or the bathroom. You can be sure of that. And so just focus on things like this, ladies and gentlemen. These are just little nuggets I'm throwing out to you. Women were involved in some of the most major decisions of the 60s. And not just the 60s, it was even before then. They talk about in World War II, the ladies who came out and even was flying planes. But you didn't get that as a measure of just bringing knowledge to you so you can be inspired to become and do. So keep these little nuggets. There was a incident that happened in Sri Lanka just the other day, some bombings that took place. It reminded me of a time when I was in Sri Lanka, and I saw people, you know, what we usually would see would be snake charmers, or people who working in hotels as, you know, just being a military man, just going to that as a port to exercise a form of liberty. But now they are saying some great and evil things happened in Sri Lanka, and there were supposedly several American citizens who got killed in this terrorist attack. But one guy that they mentioned more specifically, I got his name, I hope I pronounce it right, is Kiran Shafrez de Zosa. Now, I might have gotten it wrong, but this is another little young boy. They said he was 5th grade. He was so smart he was going to skip the 6th and go right into the 7th. And his father referred to him that he was going to be a neurosurgeon. They said he wanted to make sure that his son's story got told. They killed this boy, but they don't know what they denied the world the benefit of. And all of the babies that's been aborted out here can get the same response. We don't know what the world has been denied through this abortion. And it is what it is. So keep this thing and make it a nugget. We got to stop this killing. We got to stop this killing, but we got to come up with a reason why this killing must stop. The reason this terror must stop. These are little nuggets for you to recognize, ladies and gentlemen, that we just have to get rid of. And it reminds me of another nugget. I heard a guy talking about something on Facebook, YouTube this morning. And he was talking about the scriptures and what the scriptures were saying. And he ended up saying something about working, having to do with the Sabbath day. And he mentioned something, I don't know specifically what, you might have heard it, talking about the kind of work that brought about money. And it just slapped me side the face. How in the world is somebody associating money with the Bible? God didn't come up with money as we understand money to be, a tool that's used to acquire those things that God has given you a different way to acquire. That godly way is that everybody involved in the process of causing to manifest, everybody played a part in it. Everybody got ownership in everything that's already been made, and what you own, you don't buy. You just claim it as you need it, want it, or desire it. That's as simple as licking a cone of ice cream. And then somebody come back and tell you about money. And everybody who got a little bit of sense, everybody who's been touched by God in a little way, know that money is a tool that's been used to bait you from going away from God's plan and going into a plan about money that leads up to all of the crime, that leads up to the poverty, that leads up to the violence, that leads up to the lying, the cheating, the stealing. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, all behind money. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Right now you're talking about professionals, athletes who have given their whole high school and college life making sure that they can make the pros. Why? So they can get fame and money. Well, I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, God got nothing against pro athletes. But if you're an athlete, be an athlete because you love the sport. Why are you being paid money? Well, I need money so I can buy this. Well, use God's plan. Make sure that God's plan is implemented. So you play sports because you love it, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, golf, tennis, whatever it is. You love it. That's why you do it. Well, that's your process. That's your giving of yourself to make this a wonderful place to be on earth in these bodies at this time to be alive. And all those things that you could use money to purchase for your personal goods, your personal ambition, or personal desires or wants, you can still get it, but you don't need money. You have given of yourself. That entitles you to whatever it is that you would buy. A house, or clothes, or food, or cars, or transportation, or vacations. You give of your talent. And this is the same thing that applies to those of you who want to be stars. You want to tell a story in a movie. You want to sing songs. You want to be a dancer. God has given these gifts to you. You want to be in a band, play instruments. God has given these talents to you. You give it back to humanity. Give it back to society. That is your contribution to society. And by so doing, it entitles you to all of the necessities that have been determined by we as people, goods and services, that you can access them for your own benefit. Why? Because you got ownership in it according to God's plan, not according to the adversary's plan, not according to the Satan plan, the demonic plan, the hellish plan. No, ladies and gentlemen, forget that stuff. See, God has one way, as far as I can see, of treating all people. And it began in the beginning. That was, you shall reap what you sow. You shall reap what you sow. That's God's way of giving back to you what you have given. It is the fruit of the seed. It is what you are entitled to. Giving back what you have sown. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is as simple as that. You live a certain kind of way according to God's plan. That's what you're giving, and all of that heavenliness is coming back to you. You decide you want to switch and live according to some other deceitful plan, causing all that other pain and suffering and crime and violence. That's what you give your allegiance to. That's what's coming back to you. Jails won't stop that. It just makes more space for somebody else to continue doing it. So I want you to understand these nuggets that I'm trying to give you. I hope you will listen. It just depicts what's really going on in the world today. You know, when a lot of times, I mentioned it earlier on Instagram, you hear people talking about who is the first people, who the mother country, who, saying that's your history. If you don't know where you come from, you might end up some old crazy place. But I say these things might be significant as a beginning, but it's not that much that's going to cause you to change anything, because I don't care if you're the mother, you still got to treat the children right. You got to be just as good to the children as the children got to be to the parents. You might be the mother country, but this mother country got to be treated just like the rest of the world. The rest of the world got to be treated just like the mother country. So what's all the significance? What is that all about? What is that really saying? So I'm saying to you is that I don't care who you are. If God says love, then you love. That's the way of God. And I say that because so many times people think that, and I've heard it said, and I've heard it mentioned in the Bible, that God says thou shalt not kill. And then in another section of the Bible that say that God is so pissed off with some people, he will tell an army to go over there and kill everything. Kill all the animals. Kill all the babies and old people. Now, what kind of God is that says thou shalt not kill and then turn around and tell you to be that destructive? Create that kind of terror on somebody else. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, as far as I am concerned, that is not God. That is man adding his little bit to it. Adding his prejudice, his bigotry to what he says God has said. It's just like the white man who bring black people over here as slaves and then use the scripture, feed it like they want it, to say that black people should be obedient to the slavedom. Same thing with Constantine, when he assembled those guys over there that put these books together, and to make sure that what he wanted based upon his political aspirations was inserted within these scriptures in such a way that man would think that this is of God. I say, if God's, and I tell all of you, you can read the Bible if you want, but if God will not speak to you directly, close that book up. Close that book up. Get on your knees and ask God to talk to you. Ask God to talk to you. If all you got is what somebody said about what somebody else said, and you follow that, you got to be out of your mind. You got to be out of your mind. Don't you know that if God is able to speak it to anybody at any time, why would he choose to speak to people back there and not talk to you? That's a lie. That's a bald-faced lie. So get up. If God isn't speaking to you, if only thing, when your preacher get up in that pulpit and say, my Bible says, get up. Don't even listen anymore. Just walking out the door. Don't even listen to what he tell you his Bible said. You can read that at home. What you want now? His evaluation of what is being said. Who is he to give you some evaluation with all of his prejudices, with all of his bigotry, telling you what not to wear, how not to wear, and where not to go, and when not to go? Who is he? Is he God now? Is he playing God? God is God. God gives you the liberty to listen to God so you can be free. And if God is guiding your life, then be bold in it. Sometimes it might seem wrong to somebody else, but if God is sending you down that path, it's for righteousness' sake. So I say, God speak to me. God showed his hand to me. I know that God is love because he loved me. That tells me that God loves you. And if I got to have an association with you, it got to be out of love. It doesn't mean I got to give you everything you want or treat you just like I can't even be treated. No, my friend. It means that love. Sometimes, like for instance, my kids, my older kids, I'll admit to you, I really haven't done anything for them. I'm so sorry about it, but if I had to choose and do it all over again, I would choose to do God's work. God's work means that my kids are important, but so are all kids on the face of the earth important. So rather than me selling out God and start working for Satan so I can get some money, so I can help my kids and teach my kids to serve Satan as opposed to serving God, as opposed to standing up for what's right and standing up for God's way. No, my friends and my older kids, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't do it. As my younger kids, I still haven't done it. My wife does everything she possibly can to keep them associated with Satan's way. She doesn't know any better. She didn't see the hand of God. She go to church and believe. I know God. I walk according to God. But who do you think my children, my younger children, listen to? Do they listen to me or do they listen to the mom? They listen to the mom. Why? Because the mom brought some goodies in. I have talked many years about what it's all about, how the deception works, how the bait works, like going fishing. You put a piece of meat on a hook and fish just flying around thinking, ooh, look at that. Run up there and grab that piece of meat with a hook in it. And the next thing you know, they're on the dinner table for somebody else. That's the way the world works. They put that money out there. You reach out there and grab it. And the next thing you know, you out there in the service of Satan. Rather than standing up for God's way, which gives you the freedom to be who you are. And in so doing, you are manifesting these things that you want, need, desire. And you don't have to get bit by a hook. You don't have to get taken by a hook and a bait. So I'm not ashamed of that. And I wish my kids would understand that one day before they die, so they can start giving God the service instead of trying to be like the other Johns who are out there trying to see who can serve the devil the best. Well, what I really want to end up saying as I began, I've given you some nuggets, but I want you to know this. There's something that's going on in the world that you don't know about. And I don't know all about it, but I know something about it. And that's where the whole world has been deceived and is under threat by people who do not believe in God at all, but do believe in Satan. And all that God would have as far as love, they would try to flip that script and through hate teach you and draw you into an instrument of hate and conquer all of society, make it total prison, a total bondage to serve Satan. And Satan laughs at you, not laughing at God, but laughing at you because you were so easily took. Same thing when you go across the playground. There comes some turkey, bold, laughing at you, trying to find something wrong with you, trying to put you down, acting like he want to slap you, making you jump. And you don't have the courage to stand up. If you had the courage to stand up, the weakest man in any park could beat the hell out of a bold man. Bold what? Well, I won't call him that. But a bold bully, the weakest man, if he on the playground, if he has enough courage, he'd beat the stinking daylights out of a bully. I know that for a fact. So what I'm saying, and I want to end on this, ladies and gentlemen, once again. The President of the United States have made a mockery out of all of the systems within the United States of America. The systems of America weren't perfect. No, they were far from being perfect. They murdered the Indians that took their land. You know that's not perfect. You know that God has nothing to do with that. Satan has something to do with that. God allowed it to happen because you shall reap what you sow. They took black people and brought them here as slaves. They say fed their children to alligators when they wanted to prove a point. What the Willie Linkletter would tell you about all kind of things that were done to force black people to be a certain kind of people and cause the mothers or the women of these men to turn these men, would-be men, into punks. These kinds of things happen. And it hasn't stopped. And it wasn't just white people who were doing this to black people. There was black people also in different parts of the world doing it to black people and perhaps doing it to other people. So it's not just synonymous with white people. It's with people. All of us have been messed up, and all of us are messed up. And the only thing that can straighten us up and clear us up is to change our minds, be born again. Let's just put it that way. Which means throw out that trash what we've been taught and dive into wanting to be better. Seek out what is true love and become that according to the guidance that you get. Now you got this bully man in the White House who have made mockery of people who got afflictions, laughing at them, calling them names. Making America great again means making white people superior and making sure that anybody got some color in them or under the feet are begging white people. And end up breaking the law. The laws that have been set to kind of guide this nation in its democratic, capitalistic way. And he's made mockery of it, broken those laws. And you get a counsel that goes, a prosecutor or whatever you want to call Mullen, who does research on these activities, investigate these activities, and come up and say, well, the law prohibits me from charging him, but I'll give you the evidence, Congress, and you can charge him. And then the Attorney General says, I will make that decision. I will make that decision. And my decision is that this man is exonerated. He's broken the law. You, the American people, and the world knows it. I don't care what they pretend. The whole dead blasted world knows what this man has done. And he did it not just for himself. He did it for Satan. That's why he's in the office. And the reason that they are allowing him to be above the law is so that he can be in office again. I know the Democrats around there talking about, well, we're going to get him. We're going to put up on the screen the things that he's done. And now we're going to get us another white man or black man or woman who we think can beat him. What do they mean when they say beat him? Can be just as evil, can be just as vicious as he is. And all of the other people who are out here just as evil and vicious can put their votes toward the Democrats and put out this vicious one called a Republican and a white man and put in a new vicious one who call themselves a Democrat. And they think that's the solution. Not only that, they are saying, ladies and gentlemen, they think that's what you deserve. They think that you are no better than this. You are not above this. And so in order to feed you, they got to come out this way. But God is standing on high and looking down and say, what the people need and want and desire are the things that I have given them for survival and all of the other stuff that's cream on the top. But who, my friend, will stand up and advocate that for them? And what people will stand up and say, this is what we want? How many people are saying what I've just got to share with you? That people want freedom. All of them want freedom. That people want prosperity. All of them want prosperity. All of them want their dreams to come true. How many people are telling you that are running for office? And if they're telling you that, what kind of chance do they stand? Do you think the establishment is going to go for that? I can tell you it won't. They're looking for somebody right now. And what is his name? Whatever his name is. This is what happens when you get to a certain age. You got so much on your mind sometimes it's hard to shuffle through your files to come up with what you're trying to say. But I want you to know, Sanders talked a good talk the last time he was running for office. And he made some deal with the Clinton administration that set him down. So he is not fit to be the leader. Or he might be able to win, and he might be able to do a little bit better than Trump. But anybody who said that they represent something that's better and then sit down for something little less than that, nah, they don't deserve a comeback. Now the vice president, who sought after office a couple of times, didn't win, and ended up being the vice president for Barack Obama. He is history. He is connected with the past. What can he give you for the future? Oh, I know people saying he's the front runner. You know why they're saying he's the front runner? Why? Because they want him up there. The establishment. They want him up there. They're not concerned about you, the people. You got some voices in some of these young people. They need to sit down and pay a little attention to these old folks and let these old folks teach them something. But what's in their minds is a thing of the future. Miss AOC, I don't know who she is, but I know one thing. She speaks some good stuff. She speaks from her heart. And what she's saying is absolutely good. It's a lot better than anything I'm hearing out there. I heard some more people out there talking some stuff too. Some good stuff. You should pay attention to it. Oh, Lord, I've been over here almost 28 minutes. I shouldn't plan to talk this long because I know most people's attention span is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But I've given you this information because if you're locked up in jail for going along with the system when it has proven it has no legitimacy, you might get a chance to listen to this. You can't go anywhere. So 30 minutes, you can give it that. And you might be wishing you had listened to it before. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this moment to thank you once again for giving me this 30 minutes of your time. It has been easy. It has been good. It has been a blessing for me to stand here and say these things to you regardless of how you receive it or not. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus speaking to you from the Spirit that is in me, that sees and hears that of the Father and shares it with me that I might give it to you. Now, the choice is yours. Goodbye.